What's up, studs and studettes? Welcome to another fantastic episode of the Big Stud Podcast. I'm thankful for all you guys. We are continuing to grow this movement, have a massive impact with everybody. We've gotten great feedback. A lot of my guests have gotten great feedback. So thank you, audience. I really appreciate you reaching out to the guests and letting them know that you're listening, getting value from it. Even just today, I've gotten 4 or 5 messages from previous guests that people are connecting with them and thanking them for their stories. So thank you for doing that, because obviously it makes the guests feel special, helps them realize that the effort they're putting in the message and the stories they're telling are valuable. So I really appreciate that. I'm super excited about today's episode and today's guest. This is a gentleman I met almost a year ago at this point, coming up on a year. He's somebody that he is one of my customers, and I have been working with him and his team, but he's also a friend and somebody that I look up to for a number of ways as well. We've obviously worked together a lot, both in a client and coach perspective, but also we have worked together in coaching other people. We've both been spoken at events together. So Dave Owens, thank you for being here, sir.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here and speak with you today.
Man, it's so cool to see your growth as a leader over the last year, because you're the stereotypical I'm going to outwork this problem guy. And I think you realized last year, as your sales team got to that 15, 20 member mark, that it was just too big for you to keep your hands around. And, originally when I was elected to work with you and you brought me into the organization, it was to help you build that hierarchy. But honestly, man, we were able to execute that. But your growth over the last year of knowing you and your comfort level with disconnecting and kind of creating that, decentralized command and trusting your people to do their jobs and giving them the tools and the assets to do it, even their ability to buy into the new structure of the prospecting and the referral partner creation, and the KPI tracking that we've integrated. I've not seen a team buy in as fast as yours has. And I truly believe it's because of the advancement and growth you've had over the last year. So
I definitely agree. It's a total team buy-in, right? In order to take information like the coaching information that's provided and implement it into your company. It's not just one person believing in it. Like, I believe it when you explained it to me, I totally believe it. But then we have to go and sell it and get total buy-in from everybody in the team in order to implement just one thing, just one strategy. We have to get total buy-in, and then everybody in that division has got to start implementing to make it function, to make it work like it's supposed to. And it hasn't always been that way.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, give people a little background on you. So, where are you? What do you do? How big? How long? That kind of stuff.
Yeah, I started roofing. I've been roofing damn near my entire life, right? I put my first roof on when I was 13 years old. In a neighborhood I was living in, and it was just me and one guy. So I roofed my first roof when I was 13. I started doing some repair work when I was in high school, and kind of became passionate about helping other people. I could go out and fix people's problems, and I could figure it out. And so I started roofing at 20 years old, and a business for myself. I had partners along the way. So that was a whole learning experience in bringing in partners and working with other people. That the whole partnership thing is in a journey in itself is like understanding that to have a partner, you have to be in a complete alignment with that partner for it to be successful, right? So that was a whole learning curve. I had partners that I brought in and I wasn't in alignment with them. We separated. I brought another partner in. I partnered up with 2 other people, not in alignment with those guys, and didn't even really understand that back then, right? I was just, growing the business and not understanding it. So the reason for, at that time, bringing partners in was not correct, right?
You were scared. You were uncertain of what you didn't know, and
100%. Like I have somebody that, if me and you go into partnership now, I'm like, okay, well, if it doesn't work out, it's partly Mike's fault. I don't have to take I don't have to take the full hit if it doesn't work out, right? I gotta you're a fall guy now. Just be honest, call it what it is, right? Fuck, you fucked half of it up too, right? and we didn't even and we never, the thing that I can say 100% is we really didn't ever every partnership that I split with, we split making money. We didn't split not being able to pay the bills. There's no supply houses we owe money to. There's no insurance company. We split making money. That wasn't the split. The making the money part of the business has never been the struggle. The struggle has been building the fucking business. Like the struggle has been building the business and adding people on in the business as we go. And then the cost of operations increasing and not having tracking on that and you leaving your prices the same price. That's where all the struggle has been for me personally.
Well, how did you and when did you make the transition to like being so core value focused? Because it's a huge part of your focus now. It's how you hire, it's how you fire, it's how you partner, it's how you bring people in. But like, obviously you learned that the hard way going through all these relationships with people who did not align with your values. Was there like an aha moment that just said, fuck this, I'm not doing it that way anymore? Or was it like progressionary over time?
The last partnership was 2013. So from 2013, the end of 2013 was the last partnership that I exited. And I was in partnerships with two other guys and they wanted to go on their own and leave me. And so that was the last partnership. And then from there, in 2014, it was like a total restructure. Like basically this company has really been built since 2014 because we completely restructured it. And at that time, Mike, like it was time to figure out what the fuck's going on. Like why do you hit a $13 million revenue mark and I can't get past it and shit ready to burn shit down because nothing's in place and you got the wrong people in the wrong seats and you got people doing it's chaos, right? So at that time, I started reaching out to bring outside help in. That was the first time that I hired a coach, right? And when I hired a coach, and then I started getting clear on, where we were going, what are we doing this for, right? Because previously I already had the money. The money's sitting in the bank. The money is not. I talked to a lot of people, and money's the struggle. I got money. I'm not sitting here poor mouthing people. You know what I'm saying? Like I got fucking money, man. But like money doesn't build a great business. But money doesn't make a great culture. Money doesn't make everything perfect, right? Yeah, we can go out and buy the nice things and shit, but like, it doesn't make everything.
What's another $50,000 if everything's burning and you have everything you need already?
That's right. So if you're not enjoying it, and you know what I mean. So I kept getting to the point where, man, dude, I would be fucking come home and I enjoy like helping people. Like I enjoy being out and I enjoy training people and teaching people how to either roof or either sell or, whatever their position is. I enjoy that part of it. But I would get to the point, man, because of having people in the wrong seat and not having any culture in the company. We were just like running and doing the work, right? Just doing roofing work is what we were doing. I would literally probably every other day, like, fuck this business. Like, I want to burn this motherfucker to the ground. You know what I mean? Like, fuck this business. Like, I'm sitting at the damn in the bar in the kitchen, and I'm like, fuck this business. Like, I can break this shit down. I don't need 100 employees. You know what I mean? I don't need all these employees. I can break it back down, and I got the money, and like, fuck all this shit. Like, wow. I didn't understand. You know what I mean? I didn't understand that it didn't have to be that way. I really didn't, Mike. I didn't know that it didn't have to be that way. I just thought that's the way fucking running a business was. I did.
So did you have to go through massive turnover in order to rebuild that, or the people that were there kind of caught on, like they were like, happy to have the structure? Because I've seen a lot of times where, the owner gets a stick up their ass about this new thing they want to do, and it's hard to get buy-in from existing employees. I have not experienced that with your sales team as we've created these team leader positions and hierarchy and systems and processes and trackability. But I can't imagine in 2015 and 2014, when you were rebuilding everything, that just like everybody was just on board with the same way to do it.
Yeah, so that's an interesting point that you bring up, and it is very like, in order, well, number one, let's go back. Like when we look at the business and we go, well, shit, why are you wanting to burn it down, every 2 days? Like, what's not functioning right? Like, I thought that I just wasn't running the business correctly, right? I thought that like the business itself there was like something that I wasn't doing properly, right? And then when I get out and I start seeking actually and raising my hand saying, hey man, I need a little bit of help. I realized, man, that like it wasn't really the business itself, man, because here I am. I made the money. I made a successful business. I don't have any bad reviews out there. The people are saying, God does good work. It's, you know what I mean? You're gonna get what you pay for. And so that part of it, the work part of it, what we were actually providing, the finished product was really good. What I didn't really understand until I started hiring coaches is that I thought it was the business, but it was me. Bro, man, when I realized, like, I thought, like, when I hired you, I was already through this point when I hired you, right? I needed help, like, building out structure for the sales team. So you didn't have to work with me, like, and say, Dave, man, you're fucked up, man. You gotta fix you, right? You didn't have to say that, right? Because I'm working on me now, right? I'm investing in me daily. But when I reached out, I'm thinking I'm going to get this magic pill, this magic bit of information. Like, hey man, do this thing, implement this, change this, bro. You're going to be good to go. That's what I thought. And it was like, well, your people aren't accountable. How accountable are you? You want your people to be more responsible. How fucking responsible are you? You got to look at yourself and answer them fucking questions, man. That's hard. You know, it's hard to fucking do that, man. It's like a self-check. Like, okay, man, you want to build this and you want you know the core values that you represent. You don't have to make them up, man. Your core values are who you are. Mike Claudio has core values that you show up. I know that's who you are, man. We already have these core values. So I know how I show up and how I do that. And I want everybody else to show up and do that, but you have to really own all that stuff, man. You have to own it 100%, right? And if you're not, your people aren't going to show up. Your people aren't showing up. So when I started working on myself, so I thought I was going to have to work on the business, but the business kind of was all right. You know what I mean? The business was really all right. It was me that was fucked up. And when I started working on myself, what I did, Mike, the transition, this is the biggest point. The transition is I went to the team, the existing team, knowing that I'm going to be hiring new people, knowing now that I'm going to grow the business, not going to get to 13 million and say, fuck it, man, that's all I can handle. You know what I mean? I'm done with it. Burn it down. I know I'm going to grow the business now. I'm not going to stop. I had the stop mentality before, like, every time it got to too much pressure and chaos and all that stuff going on, I'm ready to stop. I'm ready to burn it down, quit, shut it down, break it back, go back to $2 or $3 or $4 or $5 million shit I can handle real easy. You know what I mean? Without even thinking about it. So I decided that that's not going to happen anymore. So when I went to the team, the existing team, once I started working on myself and said, these are the changes that I'm going to make, right? And I have a team meeting. We had a team meeting. Hey, we're going to be going on a new journey. And this new journey is going to look like this because this is what we're going to be doing. So there's going to be some changes. I understand everybody on this team didn't come on with these new standards. The standards that we're going to be holding people to, the stuff that the stuff that we're not going to tolerate anymore. We understand that that's not how you was hired, right? So if you don't agree with this and you don't want to continue on the ride with us, you can get off. No hard feelings. We still love you, right? We still love you. We understand because we didn't bring you on like that. And here you are. You've been with us for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and now we're here. We are making. We're making drastic changes, right? And Mike, when you do it yourself, when you put the work in yourself, it's not verbal. It's not just I had a team meeting. When I had that team meeting, dude, I was already doing the work. I was already doing the work, man. Like we call doing the work.
Yeah.
I'm already living it. I'm already starting to work out. I'm already reading. I'm already investing in myself, right? And so they see that and they start seeing you look different. When you start looking different and you start speaking different, then it's not real until that happens. We can say we want to change it. We can say we want, hey, I want you to do this and now we want to do this and we're going to do this. But if you're not doing it yourself as the leader, it's not going to happen. If you are not showing up the way that you want your entire team to show up, it's not going to happen. You can't ask your team to show up in a way that you aren't showing up. It just doesn't happen. It's out of alignment. It's out of congruency, man. It's just not going to happen. So the minute that we did that, we sat down with the team. Nobody left. This is a great thing, man. Nobody left. 2 weeks in, the first guy drops. 2 more weeks, a couple more people drop. 2 months, 3 or 4 more people drop. And we're bringing new people in that fit. We at the same time, it's just a complete transition of bringing new people in that align with our core values. Once we define our core values, we can hire by our core values. And so we bring new people in that fit our core values, and the people who didn't change with us as we were changing exited. And then we didn't have to fire anybody. They just left.
So, I mean, I'm a ton to unpack there. I mean, amazing review of kind of how you made the transition. So how have you kept that lead by example mentality where now you have more freedom, you're doing more for yourself, you're on the other side of that now, but you still need your people hustling and grinding and showing up and being consistent, and you basically assumed almost a full CEO role now where you're not really wearing the hats you used to. So how are you able to maintain that? Because I think you've done a great job. Like, you go kite surf when you want, but you're still representing what you want your people to do pretty well. So how did you make that transition? I know a lot of people go through that challenge of, well, if I'm not on the job every day, how can I expect my people to be on the job every day? But like, you're not on the job every day. So you have freedoms that you travel and you go to events and you go kite surfing when you want to. So how did you make that transition? Because you did a really good job making that change, and then you kind of like pendulum the other way and the bell curve the other way, and now you're not around as much. And I think a lot of people struggle with that transition in their business. So how did you make that transition now to, I don't have to be there every day to represent this, but my business does?
Bro, that's a great question. It's huge, man, right? And it comes down to getting buy-in from the people that you onboard, getting buy-in. So I paint this big, massive picture of where Roof Crafters is going, and the people fit in that. They can see themselves flying on the jet with me to open up another branch. They can see that, right? And the leaders that are in their positions are acting for me now. The leaders that are in the production, the leaders that are in operations, the leaders that you helped me create in sales are acting as me now as a leader. They're underneath me, representing, and I support the shit out of them. I give them the resources and the tools that they need. And when they need me, Mike, I'm here. Like, I don't babysit. I'm not a babysitter. When they need something, I'm available to them, right? I make myself available for stuff that they need, but they don't come to me with, like, the non-essential stuff, right? When they come to me, they're like really needing me to help them bid a job, a massive project or whatever. It's like legit things that they need me to help them solve, right? So they can move forward. So the biggest part of it is the leaders, man. We have to have leaders in each position to back away, right? Because when you think about it, Mike, people look at it like a triangle, and I'm at the top, but I'm not at the top anymore. I'm at the bottom. They're out in front of me now. I'm not leading them anymore. I'm telling you now, I'm not leading my team anymore. I'm at the bottom, and I'm making sure the core values are in place, and I'm making sure I'm looking at them from I'm behind them as they're charging in all these markets that we're in. I'm behind them and making sure they stay in a line. And if anybody's getting out of line, I'm doing the little gather up like this and gather up like this on this side, and I'm just gathering them up to keep them moving in the focus and moving in the right direction.
I love it. I think so many people struggle with that transition once they build it, and then they show up every day and they find things that are wrong that aren't really wrong and start like breaking the machine because they want to feel busy and they're working on stuff, and they actually cause more problems than they think they are actually helping, because they come in every day and they're trying to tweak all the processes that are working, but it could be better. Let me make some changes. And it's like, no, bro, like, let the machine do the machine's job. Like, calm down.
And Mike, I'm gonna tell you, man, by chance, some of this happened. For me, I got injured kite surfing, right? I ended up landing on the beach, and I had shattered my pelvis and got 18-inch stainless steel plate and 14 screws in my pelvis. And in that experience, right, was the first time that I was removed from 100%. I'm in the ICU, right? And in surgery, and I'm in the hospital, got no phone, no computer, no anything. I'm completely checked out. and like that injury, like it was like probably 3 months before I really checked back in. You know what I mean? Like 3 months of just like recuperating. My body was just like in trauma, right? And so, but that entire experience for me let me see what that CEO position looks like. Yeah. And I didn't plan it, right? I didn't really plan it. Like, did I need to come back in and fix some things? Yeah, I had to come back in and fix some things. Did they have a shit ton of questions for me when I did check back in? Yes. You know what I mean? Did they make some bad decisions? Probably. Yes, they did. But we can fix it.
But the ship was moving forward. It didn't stop.
It didn't stop. Nothing burnt down. We didn't shut anything down. Nothing collapsed. You know what I mean? They took care of customers. We didn't get no 1-star reviews. We still got 5-star reviews, finished product. So, and they made some really great decisions too. They did a lot of work and they made some great decisions. And we did like for the 3 months, we did the most revenue we ever done without me. You know what I mean? And so from my standpoint, being able to step back and see that, because you want to be needed. Yeah. This is your baby. You start it, right? You want to be needed, right? You want to be in that position where, man, my team needs me. My team needs me, man. But you know what, Mike, man, if we build them and we coach them right, do they really need us, man? They're smart people. Everybody in this world is smart. If you allow them to be smart, everybody is smart.
I think a lot of people would disagree with you on that, but
I'm just telling you, man, people, the information is out here. Do they want to take advantage of it? Now, whether somebody wants to go take advantage of it and get the information, but the information right now is floating around in the ethos. Right now, it's available to everybody. And in the time that we're in right now, we are in the technology and information age, right? Never had so much access to information, ever. Information just like this. You can get information so fast now, right? Like we can get it. So
all right. So I mean, I want to keep picking at this a little bit because you've gone through your leadership journey from novice to expert, we'll say. I know you wouldn't agree with that, but like you've learned a lot of lessons since 2014. But you also work with your wife, and she's in a leadership role. And you have some freedom sometimes that she doesn't have. Some of that's her own fault. I'm sure she's going to listen to this. And like, she doesn't even be painting offices and cleaning windows. So she takes those things on unnecessarily sometimes. But how have you guys kind of matured through that where, you know, she wears her hats, you wear yours, you have more freedom now than she does. How have you guys kind of grown as a leadership team of the business? Because I mean, you got 100+ employees now. You know, you're trending to double your revenue in the next 2 to 3 years, like getting to that $40-50 million range, right?
Yep.
That's a lot, right? And,
yep.
and you guys are kind of like, she's kind of the production, you're kind of sales, right? She's operations, you're kind of sales. So how have you guys kind of communicated and grown through that? Because I know a lot of small business owners have their wife as part of their business, kind of because it's like an easy option. And they don't know how to scale together. And I'm sure you and Nikki have had your rough patches along the way, but from the outside looking in, it seems like you guys have kind of got it figured out to an extent. So how have you guys kind of grown through this maturing process as your requirements in the business have adjusted as well as hers have?
Well, first of all, she supports me 100%. That's like the biggest thing. Like the vision is me. Right. I want to go and open up these new markets and I want to grow and that's me. And she believes in me 100% and she supports me. Now, when we first started this journey, it was difficult because like we didn't agree on a lot of stuff. Like I was like really, I thought I had all the answers for the business. And there was things where we disagreed on the way we operated, from the operations to production and the whole setup. So we had disagreements, but you know, what it came down to is it wasn't her, because she is supporting the shit out of me. This is my dream. This is my vision. And she's supporting me 100%, right? She supports me. If I create if I come up with something right now and she's going to support it, right? That's just how she is. But it came down to me, like not trying to be in operations, me not trying to be in production, me not trying to be in this, not trying to be in that, and trying to put my input in. Oh, y'all need to check with me before you do this. It took me to actually release all that shit, right? I had to release all that stuff and like give her ownership of the shit that she was handling, the shit that I wasn't good at. I was not good at it. It was not. I was not good at operations at all. In the years that I built businesses, operations is my weakest point, right? And I came to realize that, and so instead of me stepping in and trying to get in the middle of how the operations was going to run, which that's how it started off, and then we butt heads, right? Here I am trying to tell her about operations, and I don't even fucking like it. You know what I mean? I'm trying to tell her like shit that I don't like that she's doing in operations and how she's structuring it, and I don't even like operations, and I'm not good at it. So it took me a while, man, to like let it go. You know what I mean? I just had to like get out of it, and then it's the reverse. She supported the shit out of me, and now I support the shit out of her. Like I just support her. I just give her the freedom she's got that total freedom to make calls and do whatever she wants to do to make sure that we are going in the direction that we agreed that we're going. We know where we want to go. We know what we want to build. We know why we want to build it. And so when we all get on that, when me and her's on that level together, we get our leadership team on that level together. We don't have to talk every day. We don't have to. We understand that we're on the same path. We're going to the same destination here. We're going in the same direction. And by creating that that vision and giving it to everybody, we stay on the same wavelength. We stay connected that way. Me and her don't even talk about business anymore. We have to force ourselves to talk about where's Roofcrafters doing.
That's crazy to me.
We have to force ourselves. We went to Charleston last Sunday, and she said, "Okay, Monday we're gonna talk about Roofcrafters and this." We haven't talked about it in weeks, man. Like she does her thing.
Crazy.
It is crazy, right? It's totally crazy. But like,
I mean, that's so opposite of like everybody else who's ever tried it. That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
She doesn't know what's going on in marketing at all. I do all the marketing, and she doesn't really.
So basically, you just assigned your lanes, and you just said, "I'm gonna say the fuck out of yours. You say the fuck out of mine, and we'll support each other. Our teams will basically support each other."
Yeah, and Mike, it didn't really start really gelling well until when we were able to, because I had to straddle boxes, right? I had to be in sales and I had to be in production. And then when we hired salespeople, when we had some leadership in there, even though we didn't have the structure built out yet, right? You helped me build that structure out. So I had a decentralized command now. But before that, I had enough people where I didn't have to be in sales anymore, and I didn't have to make sure that we were selling the jobs. So I was able to hop over in production. And then when I hopped in production, I could focus in production, even though, I figured out being in production that, I ran production and I was the only one that scheduled all the jobs. Even when we were doing 13 million, I was the production manager. I scheduled every job. I ordered all the materials. I did everything. I did everything. I didn't have anybody else ordering or scheduling the crews or anything. So I scheduled all the jobs, scheduled all the crews. So for me, I'm passionate about that. And I felt like I did a really good job. But when I jumped back in it after we started building a team and I started doing it again, I realized I really didn't fucking like it. Right. So I just understood myself better. By understanding myself better, I could be like, fuck, as soon as we get somebody in this position, I'm out. You know what I mean? I could get the fuck out of there because I really didn't like it anymore. I thought I loved roofing and scheduling the jobs and talking to the crews and doing all the shit. But
good
fuck,
at
man,
it,
that shit's a pain in the ass, man. I'm like, fuck this shit. I mean, I'm not as organized for that anyways. That's too organized. I don't like looking at spreadsheets and shit. So anyways, man. So we ended up hiring in that position, and I was able to get out of that position. And as that's happened, the progressions, Mike, has got me out of sales, out of production. And now I'm over in marketing, and I focus on a lot of energy, man, on marketing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm
super passionate about it. I was passionate about marketing back in 2000. I really got passionate about it in like 2006, 2007, when I got my first website.
Yeah. And like you're next level in the marketing. We don't have enough time to dig into all the marketing knowledge you have. But there's one thing, it's on the board behind you. I think it's something a lot of people struggle with. And it's from a contractor perspective. So kind of pivoting a little bit is, raising prices and being the most expensive guy. Like you're growing, winning, and scaling as one of the most expensive roofers in your markets. And
it was valuable.
I hear you, but the ticket's the ticket. It's the most expensive.
Agreed.
You're right. It is more valuable. Your process is tremendous. The brand you've built is tremendous. The trust that your markets have with your brand is tremendous. But how did you go about trusting that process and growing? Because we've talked about it obviously off recording, but there's a lot of contractors. I think there's contractors everywhere who struggle with, leading the charge per se of we're going to be more expensive and that's okay.
Yeah, well, Mike, it was difficult for me, and I struggled with it for years because, as a business owner, and you're doing the sales too, most of us business owners, we actually operate the business, and we typically are in sales too, right? And so, to actually increase your prices, man, it's like you are fighting demons, man, because the competition the competition is charging a certain price, and what the competition, you're bidding against the same people over and over in your market, and what they're charging. When you realize that what they're charging doesn't fit your model and your overhead and your direction that you're moving, you have got to pivot. You have got to pivot, and it was one of the hardest things for me to do is to say, okay, we are not going to compete against the competition in the market. We're going to build our company around what we need to grow and what our margins need to be for that growth. And so, it was that part of it was very difficult. And, it comes down to several different things, man. You've got to, your messaging has to be correct. You have to, your core values and your unique principles have got to be defined. Your team have to be in alignment with all of that. They have to understand the core values and what makes you different, your unique principles, what differentiates you, right? So what makes you different? And so, and then you got to provide that value provide value to the clients, right? You have to provide value, and you have to be an educator. So we've switched from being a sales model to we're educators. We don't show up to sell anybody anything. No, we don't show up to sell our clients shit. We show up to educate them, and then we allow them to buy, right? And that's how we switched the model. Like, we switched the model from selling against our competitors, and they're charging the same thing we're charging, to providing value. And then, the hardest part of this, the hardest part for a business owner, in my opinion, was raising the price. Like, once you understand what your overhead is, and once you understand what margin you want to operate as a company, you can't look at the company to the left and the company to the right and decide your prices. You have to look at your operations, you have to look at your overhead, and you have to decide what margin that you want to work at and what kind of clients that you want to work for. And you have to build your model around yourself, not anybody else. When you focus on everybody else, you will get what everybody else is getting.
I mean, it kind of goes back to the baseline. If you don't know your numbers, you can't make educated decisions. You kind of got to start there. Like, if you don't know what your monthly overhead number is, you can't break it down per day. If you don't know what margins you need to have in order to cover that overhead, you can't break it down per project. If you don't know what your material cost per project is, you can't figure that stuff out. It's an amazing amount of companies out there that don't understand their cost of operations, their cost to operate, basically. And so until you understand that part, you can't make the decisions you just talked about. It's impossible. You're guessing. So you're saying, like, you're basically, you increase pricing, you propose it to a customer goes, that sounds a little high. And you're like, yeah, I thought so too. And then you keep basing your pricing based on the response you're getting from customers, but you can give the same price to 10 different customers and get 10 different reactions to it. So if you're basing your pricing model on how your customers are responding, like right now, we are probably the most expensive grading and demolition company in Charlotte, and I don't care. I'm losing 80% of my proposals, which is fine, because the 20% is enough to keep us busy right now. And we're figuring it out. Like, we're figuring out how to get more efficient, get more effective, add more value, all that other kind of stuff. But in general, most people are in business to make money. They just don't know exactly how much money they need to charge to make money.
So that's the biggest. I ran it. So you're saying exactly what happened. Like, I ran in the dark, and here I am. I built a $13 million business in the dark. I didn't know what my costs were. I just knew I was making money, but I didn't understand what my costs were. And I think you hit the nail on the head, bro. most people are running in the dark, man. If you want to get down and we start like talking to people, everybody that I help and that I help out, that's the first thing. They don't know. I ask them, what's your overhead? Yeah. I've had a couple conversations the last few weeks. Hey, what's your overhead? So I can help you figure out your price structure. I don't know. Well, bro, in order to like make sure that you're making money, because I lived that too, Mike. I ran a year and I lost, like at the end of the year, it cost me $1.1 million to operate for a year. I had to pay $1.1 million to be in business. To do all the roofs that I did that year, I literally had to pay out of my pocket to do the roofs. And that's what can happen and will happen if you are not aware of what your operating expenses are, and especially as you're scaling. And that's what happened to me. I started scaling, started bringing on more payroll, leadership positions. And the next thing you know, we're not charging enough money to support what the operation that we're building. And I think that happens to people who are wanting to grow and scale. I think that happens more than it doesn't. So number one would be make sure you know your operating expenses, your overhead.
Well, because it makes you more confident in charging what you're supposed to, because you know why. Like if you knew for a fact the price you're charging right now on paper is losing you money, you physically would not be capable of charging that price anymore. Your body wouldn't let you. They'd be like, every time I give you $5, I lose $6. You'd stop giving me $5. Like you just would have to, right?
Yeah.
And so, but I think if people can see it on paper and get that level of granular with it, they wouldn't physically be able to keep charging the same amount, because they'd have to charge more to know and look at it and go, okay, that's a positive number now. It's not negative anymore. That's a good thing, because it allows you to stop robbing Peter to pay Paul. That happens all the time.
And there's a couple things that come into play when you start talking about your margins and your pricing and all that kind of stuff. Is, okay, well, how about if we don't do 100 jobs and we only do 50 jobs and make the same amount of money? That's one thing. How many moving parts does it take to go do 50 jobs, and how many moving parts do you have when you do 100 jobs, right?
A lot.
So you can start looking at the numbers that way. The biggest part that I think for us was, man, the buy-in from the sales team. Bro, when we can show the sales team the overhead and everything, and they can see that in the CRM, what the overhead on the job is, and they can see what their commissions is, they can see what the profit is. Everybody can buy into it. It's not like they understand. And without that, you're giving a sales guy a number and saying, hey, man, go sell this job for $10,000. And he's like, okay, cool. Well, I don't even know what that means. What does that $10,000 represents? There's no buy-in then, right? Now they realize, okay, well, to sell that job for $10,000, we're actually going to have this. And you're only going to make this much money. The company's only going to make this much. And you're only going to get this much commission for all of that work. Now they go, holy shit, man, we could actually charge more. Right? And so that's what I got when we become transparent and showed all this stuff. That's what I got. Like, holy shit, man, that's a lot of fucking work, man, for $10,000. Yeah. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Right. So you get a massive buy-in, man, when you like start breaking down your numbers and looking and sharing that with your team. Man, that's a game changer.
I love it, man. I appreciate you today. There's a lot of really great stuff. I mean, a lot of stuff on growth from a leadership perspective. I mean, obviously that pricing adjustment conversation can work for any business, not just contractors. If you don't know your numbers, you're never going to understand what you're supposed to be charging. But David, I really appreciate your time today, man. So how someone wants to get in touch with you, someone wants to connect to you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Facebook, Dave Owens at Facebook.
Pretty straightforward.
That's it. YouTube, Roof Crafters.
There you go. Warranty packages selling now.
Warranty packages. That's right. Hop in the funnel.
Hop in the funnel. You're gonna get some emails and you're gonna get some text. He's gonna find you.
If you click on any of my shit, just know that I pixeled the shit out of you, and you're gonna get some more shit.
You are getting retargeted, and we are gonna use you as an avatar to make a lookalike audience. And we'll probably have to do a whole nother episode on the marketing side of stuff. But man, I super appreciate you today. We'll get this out there and get some people help. So I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. I appreciate you too, man.